right, everybody, we're back with another episode, long-awaited episode of Shoot the J. It's been a while, sorry to leave y'all, but we're back. To my left, I have Tyrone Maestro T. Jackson, and below I have Don Jackson as always. Oh, we gotta do. I'll add the sound effect. As we always start off the show, gentlemen, what are you drinking today?
Well, good old-fashioned H2O.
Oh, wow.
He's a water boy today.
Water boy.
Tyrone,
Baba Duce.
Don, what are you drinking?
Got a little margarita mix here, splash of Sprite and a splash of Superior rum here, brother.
I had that while I was in Pensacola right there, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's very nice.
Kind of feel it right here.
well, gentlemen, I am drinking a little Crown Apple and Coca-Cola here.
Look like it's more Coke than Crown Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, bro, at the day that I've had, the week that I've had, it should be the other way around. More Crown Apple than Coke. I can tell you that. Well, guys, let's get started. I know, Tyrone, you said you had something you wanted to ask me before, some question that I have no idea about before we get started on the hot topic.
Yes, it's a great question. Okay,
All right.
Here's a scenario for you. You can add the music here. What's the scenario? Right here. All right. You and Don, let's say you're on the basketball team, right?
Right?
Don is watching on the sidelines, and there's a player that plays opposite of you. He's getting into it with Don, right?
Okay.
He gets mad. Don gets thrown out of the gym, right?
All right.
He's talking to Don, and then all of a sudden, Dave, you get mad at the cat, whatever, and then they get a technical foul and they get ejected, and you wave bye-bye.
Okay.
Now, the guy didn't call Don all kind of names and all kinds of stuff. Now, he's a good player. He's a really good player you playing against.
All right.
He called Don all kind of names.
Okay.
Would you join up with them next year and be on the team together?
Oh, no. I could never be on a team with a dude call my brother out his name and being mad disrespectful. I mean, if it's on the court action, like, you talking trash, take this jumper is one thing. But if you take it out of the bounds of basketball where you talking about him personally and meet me outside and all, catch me outside, all that kind of stuff. Oh, no, I got to with you every time I see you. I can't join on the team with you. No way.
So isn't that what happened with Rondo and Westbrook? They on the same team now. Think about that.
Okay, let me say the point of distinction. The team that they on, it ain't none of their teams. Okay, that's LeBron. So it's not like they can pick where they're gonna be. Both of them suckers trade, they've been shipped around or whatever. They're lucky to get kind of big contract at this stage of their career, both of them. So it's not like they team where they can dictate anything on those teams. Them suckers are add in.
What you think down the practice is gonna be like, bro, when they get together finally?
Well, they often have to play opposite each other, so it's gonna be a lot of trash talking and some issues. There's gonna be some problems. I mean, we see it when the Saints. I mean, Michael Thomas and C.J. Gardner, right, going at each other, punching themselves in the face.
Wait.
Practice.
Cut, bro.
No.
What happened?
You got a drone in your
Right.
thing,
Your computer sounds like a Suzuki, dog. Where the
You said
iPhone?
some nice stuff, dog. I had to cut you. We had to.
Yeah, bro. Where the iPhone at, bro? Come on in with the iPhone, bro.
Applications, bro. Y'all just don't understand.
You can't, Don. We can't even hear what you're saying because it's so loud. So it's not. We're not just picking on you, bro. We can't hear you, bro. That like
Put
like
the iPhone on it and use that computer for research, bro.
Yeah, I'll use the computer for research. Let me get the
That computer is stuck in the Confederacy. What you say, boss? I was trying to zoom.
I don't know why.
I'm trying to go as hard as I can, sir.
I wish I could leave that in.
Well,
Oh, sir.
Rochester.
Master got me working.
I've been working on a Zoom call all the live long day.
So, Don, here's a question for you. What do you think it's going to be like in practice with those two, Rondo and Westbrook?
Oh, they're gonna be fighting, man. I mean, it's just like CJ Gardner and Michael Thomas. One of them talking trash, the other one hitting the other one. You know, they're gonna be trading blows. They're going back and forth. But I mean, I think I would have it no other way because, you know, when you practice hard against each other, you set yourself up for what's really going to happen in the game. So you're not a stranger to that kind of conflict when the game starts, and you can read and react. Whereas if you're having these, you know, soft cotton candy practices, when you do meet adversity, you got to really dig deep to try to find, you know, what's going to get you to that next level. I mean, Jordan, it was notorious for it. He would create scenarios on cats. They would never even tell him anything. And he would talk about the cat told me, he saw me in the hallway, told me I ain't going to score 5 points this game. And the guy's like, I never said that. And George said, I know after the game, he made it up just to make sure that he had motivation to beat the cats. So, I mean, when you have a live opponent, huh?
What about Rondo's brother? Does he come to the games now and everything's cool or what?
You know, it's going to be a learning curve because I'm sure Rondo's going to have to prep him and say, look, we all on the same team now, bro. You can't be cheering against him. But I know the conversation back there. I never liked that dude. I never trusted him. I never liked him, especially if something goes wrong on the court.
It's like when we used to beat up Dave. We could beat up Dave, but we didn't want nobody else to beat up Dave.
They wasn't going to let nobody else beat on him. You know what I mean?
I was taking so many beatings. I was like, could you let other people beat me for a little while? This everyday beating is not making it. At least I can run in the streets. I can't run in my own bedroom. Guys, the first topic today, we have the trilogy fight coming up between Tyson. Nothing but problems over there on Long Street, bro. Nothing but problems.
Got 99 problems and the iPhone is one.
Yeah, all right. So our first topic is the big fight, October 9th, heavyweight showdown between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, the trilogy. What is your prediction on what's going to happen with this fight? It's probably the biggest fight that we have right now because the stakes in the fight, if Tyson Fury wins, he does a $100 million fight with Anthony Joshua. If Wilder wins, he can potentially do a $100 million fight with trilogy fight, at least with Anthony Joshua. What are y'all predictions on the fight?
In the immortal words of Clubber Lang, pain. That's my prediction. Yeah, I saw Don shared some workout videos, bro, and Deontay looked serious, bro. He focused. He's not all about that chatter. You know, the more he won, the more he was lifted up, the more he got away from being who he was, bro, and started being just trying to sell us fights from his mouth. We never really signed up to watch Deontay Wilder because of his banter. We signed up to see him knock people out. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, you know, it's a little concerning that that there's always the cheat factor for Tyson Fury. But Deontay looked like he's ready, and we'll see what's going to happen. But I predict there's going to be some pain. I think he's going to take it to him.
Okay. Don?
You know, I like the new tactician style that he has. His trainer has him fighting the jab with his right hand, blocking that jab that Tyson Fury would throw, which he uses to keep keep Deontay Wilder off balance. And he's going to quick body shots while he's circling, which is a recipe for disaster for Fury, because Fury uses his length and then tries to grapple you and weigh you down throughout the fight. So Deontay Wilder, instead of now just depending on his one-punch knockout power, he will have the ability to stick and move inside and to fend off the jab, which he has not done well against Tyson Fury. And that's the change I see in his workout pattern. And he's training for 12 rounds, which I think it will be a split decision. Is going to 12 rounds if Wilder does not catch him with a good knockout. But if he does not, Fury is known to be knocked out and get back up, and you can't take it to chance that you lose a lot of rounds and still win the fight, especially when you're fighting against Tyson Fury. So you're going to have to convincingly win rounds and get your knockout. That's my prediction. And I think that Wilder will get him, but he has to stick to that game plan and be patient Don't rely on your one knockout punch power, because that's not going to win the fight for you.
That's an astute observation. You got to put some rounds in the bank if you plan on fighting Fury instead, depending on a knockout. My thing with Wilder is I usually don't like a guy who's 36 years old making a whole lot of adjustments and then try to implement them against a championship level boxer. Like, I like to kind of go against a journeyman or two with my new things instead of with a guy on the championship level. But the beauty of Wilder is you really only have to show him one thing that he's never seen before, and really the fight is over with. Because the dude's power, we've witnessed it firsthand. The dude's power is so immense, there's no time to measure the distance on him or this is what his power feels like. By the time he measures you out and you get in range of him and he snaps that shot, the whole fight is over. So the beauty of Wilder is all you really have to do is show Tyson Fury one thing. Just that pivot that I saw him and Malik Scott working on, where instead of going straight back when a guy walks you down, that he turns. If he does that consistently 1 or 2 times and surprises him with a right hand over the top, the fight is effectively over. They were getting reports that Jabba was beating him in, what's the guy's name?
F.A. Ajagba.
F.A. Ajagba knocked him out cold in sparring Tyson Fury out in sparring. And the other heavyweight, who was an Olympic medalist, was outworking him and had him out on his feet. And that this whole thing about COVID was enough to buy him enough time to get in shape for this fight. I mean, even his own dad, John Fury, was saying that he doesn't like his prospects fighting Wilder, trying to go into a $100 million fight with Joshua, and that he's been partying and doing everything else. And y'all saw his belly in the press conference. He didn't look like he was in fighting shape at all. So
they're gonna put the quarters on his eyes, bro. They're gonna put the quarters on his eyes. He's gonna be like this.
The river Styx.
With the Caesar coin.
Yeah.
You are. I am. Caesar.
Yeah, they're gonna take some of the chips that you got, and put right on his eyes, right there, bro.
Exactly. So I'm pulling for Wilder on this. I think Wilder's going to beat him. I think his power and his motivation is there. I think Tyson Fury doesn't have the motivation. They didn't want to pay the man off, which he could have certainly done and fought Joshua. They refused to do it. So now you got to pay the piper, a guy who's been training nonstop since the last fight, as opposed to you been drinking, partying, and have another baby with your wife during that time. So I have
on the flip side, Joshua is not a lock-in either, because he had to fight Usyk and he lost a bunch of weight to fight Usyk. I'm like, that's not the right move to go. Don't get slimmer against a person who's used to being slim. That's not the right move.
And Usyk is bulking up too and throwing a lot of power shots, you know?
Yeah.
I want to caution us not to be so overly exuberant about Wilder's chances, because you always have that X factor, and those are the judges.
That's true.
And so
he's got.
I'm glad it's not in Great Britain, because I just don't think he'd get a fair shot in Great Britain. But on the flip side, if they bring one of those judges in that is controversial, that could flip the whole script when it comes to who is winning the majority of rounds. So Wilder has to be guarded so that he does not lose rounds that he's actually winning, because judges may have thought that Fury was the aggressor. So he must be careful with looking.
Please don't bring in Julie Lederman. Please don't bring in.
No. Or that lady from, I can't think if she's from Puerto Rico or Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
She is horrible. The lady with the glasses. I don't know if it's Rosales. I don't want to mention a bad name and throw it all off.
Well, she recently, I think she was suspended for saying racial comments, so she can't be in there. She said some racial things. Yeah.
I mean, Don, you're talking about outpointing Fury and getting rounds in the bank. I mean, to be honest, Wilder has only won one fight by decision. Out of his 41 fights, he's only won one, and that's the Stavern 1, when he he tore his bicep and his right hand couldn't throw it. So every other time, he's gotten everybody out of there. And the other fight he didn't win by decision was the draw that we went to. We saw that fight, Tyson Fury. But
the first one.
Right. And everybody's touched the canvas against him. Everybody's been in the ring with him has touched the canvas. So I think they're going to outpoint him to the point where they're trying to break Fury down to get him into one of these bad spots that we saw with Ortiz. If y'all recall, Ortiz was winning that fight 7.5 rounds until Wilder got him just in a little bad predicament there and got him out of there. So,
Yeah.
guys, next topic that we move on to. Ben Simmons has demanded a trade from Philadelphia 76ers. Let's start off with Don on this one. What is the best fit for Ben Simmons? And what do you get for a guy like Ben Simmons, who is a star in some areas of his game and then deficient in other areas of his game?
You got a good one right there, Dave. Because I hadn't had a chance to really think about what team would be a good fit for him. It would be nice if he was very, he used to be aggressive cutting to the basket. And it would be nice for him to be on a Golden State type squad where the ball is moving constantly and players are moving constantly. He would thrive in a place where he can set people up and be like the Draymond Green of the team. And it'd be beautiful because he can actually bring the ball up the floor for you and rebound for you. So I think a Golden State type of atmosphere would be great. I really believe the guy is getting a bad rap in Philly, and he just needs to get some more coaching tailor-made to his style of play to help him improve the team. They're asking things of him that we don't know what the coach has really purposed him as his role. And it's as a commentator or somebody that's outside looking in, I can tell you a lot of times when I've coached, I've given players designated roles. And if they bleed too far outside of that role, then I remind them, hey, that's not your strong suit. So what do we know about Doc Rivers and what he's assigned as a particular role for Ben Simmons that he expects him to have a certain outcome? Because there was a different Ben Simmons before Doc got there, in my opinion.
This is a good point.
Yeah. I agree that the system that you inherit, the first thing you want to do is try to implement your system over something that's existing. You can't use all the players that they have there if it doesn't fit within the system. So the first thing you have to do is try to analyze and see how this person fits in. For me, a Golden State Warriors ideally is not the best job because they're so shooting centric that if you want Draymond Green on your team, you just keep Draymond Green. I think the Houston Rockets would be a good place for him. You could trade John Wall, let John Wall be over there with the 76ers. Ooh. You can put him with a younger squad in a system that's nobody's looking at anyway. But you have young guns there. He can provide some leadership. You're not really looking at free throw prowess because the game is not depending on you. You're not going to make it to the championship or Eastern Conference or Western Conference finals. But you can establish a position where you can run and gun with those young guys that they have in Houston. You got horses out there. You got a nice coach that I think deserves a good shot at really coaching. And if you get all those veterans out there, he can mold and shape that team to what he needs it to be. I think that they could be a viable source just because they are young and that there's no expectations for Ben Simmons other than him to distribute and play lockdown defense, which he's capable of doing. But Ben Simmons' attitude is the thing that gets him in trouble all the time. So it's been that way since LSU. You don't show up to classes yet. You want to go there 1 year. And so that's what's getting him in trouble. He's a diva and he's a quiet diva. Sometimes the people who don't talk are the ones that you got to watch out for because like Don said, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And certainly when we see in the game when it's a pressure situation for him to make shots, everybody's been saying every season, off season, it's the same thing. Ben Simmons been working on his shot, but we don't see him shooting until he gets in those positions where you have to shoot. Well, that's coaching 101. I want to see if he can shoot. I'm gonna lock down Embiid and all these other people and kick it out to him and see if he can shoot. Giannis is working on his shot, So hey,
Don, I'm gonna go back to you. You threw Golden State Warriors out there. What do you get for him? Because Tyrone tossed the John Wall, which I thought was excellent for both teams. Ben Simmons not in a high pressure situation with Houston. Nobody expects anything from them. It's time for him to grow because he's still young. He's like 21 or 22 or something like that. Time for him to grow. Who do you send, Don, from Golden State to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons?
I have no idea. I just threw that out there because of the system. But I have
They
no
interested
idea.
in him.
Huh?
Golden State is interested in him, Don.
Really?
Yeah.
I just threw that out there because of the system that I knew. I mean, would you give up one of the Splash Brothers? I mean, would you give one of them up? I know you wouldn't give Steph Curry up. That's out of the question.
No. They were talking about giving up
Give Wiggins, man.
Anthony, Wiggins,
Andrew
and
Wiggins.
talking about that center that they got.
Big James Wiseman,
Wiseman.
Okay.
the rookie.
Okay.
Who was the
I
rookie.
can see
That doesn't
that
make
happen.
a lot of sense for the 76ers, but
I mean, here's the deal. I respect Ben Simmons' game, especially defensively, and then his passing is top tier. Like you talk about the skills in the NBA, his passing is elite level, his defense is elite level. But these are character issues that seems to have a problem with. Like just like Tyrone said, I didn't like him at LSU when he refused to go to class just because he was going to NBA. That's character. You made a commitment to a team. It doesn't matter if you go to NBA. Go to class, fulfill your requirement, fulfill your deal. And that's another thing. Philadelphia booed me. Now I want to trade. Philadelphia gonna boo everybody. That's a rude city. The city of brotherly love that the devil is a lie. There ain't no brotherly love in no Philadelphia. When you went
look
there,
it up. They booed the Pope.
they booed Santa Claus. They booed the Pope
Santa
and
Claus.
Santa Claus. When Santa Claus broke his neck, they booed Santa Claus.
Right.
Okay. So you can't have a thin skin and go to Philly. You know what I mean? That's the home of Allen Iverson, Dr. J, and Barkley. You can't have a thin skin saying you request a trade because the fans booed me. I'd boo you too if I paid you $50 million and you miss free throws and you're passing up shots. Tyrone, this is my big pet peeve. You in the paint and you do a shuffle pass to a smaller man going to the basket. You don't pass to no little man in the paint. You pass the little man out for three, but you don't. When you get the ball and you go in the paint, you got to try to convert that bad free throw shooting or no, because at the end of the day, you can get 3 points instead of 2 going hard to the paint. Okay, so I don't care for the cat. I see elite parts of his game. I don't care for him at all. I'm making my opinion known. But I think that was a great. I think Cleveland can use him as well. It'd be a good replacement for the LeBron James type of game. You could trade one of the guards, Sexton, or the other guy, Garland, for him. Along when you got bigs coming out of Wazoo for some reason in Cleveland, they got more centers than a little bit coming. Trade him. Jared Allen, one of the centers, and then in a draft pick for Ben Simmons.
Well, that's actually one of the trades they were talking about. A three-way trade, if you could believe this, was Ben Simmons to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sexton or one of them to Philly, and this is a crazy one, Seth Curry going to the Lakers. That's one that we're looking at because they need perimeter shooting. But I don't think Doc Rivers going to get rid of his son-in-law like that, especially as much as Doc Rivers like three-point shooting. But they floated that one out there. I was like, wow, Seth Curry with the Lakers?
Hey, and Seth Curry was a bright spot for Philly during the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
he was one of the lone bright spots where everybody was fading down the stretch. He was going after Trae Young. He was keeping them honest with the threes. He was one of the few consistent players as well. Yeah. Guys, our guest just got into the room. We're going to admit him.
Okay.
We now bring to you
doing?
The young lion, Josh Guillory.
It is me.
The sportscaster of America, Man State School of Journalism in sports broadcasting. We're bringing in a guy who's been knowledgeable about the Saints since he was about 5 or 6 years old. But we want to welcome him to the show. Josh, I don't know if you watched this before. What are you drinking? Now, I know how old you are, so don't tell me nothing crazy.
I've been drinking a lot of water recently.
Good answer.
Probably my favorite drink of all time.
Since you go to LSU, I'll play this little song for you.
Walk your fast.
Oh, you know the song?
Oh yeah, White Chicks. That's what introduced me to that song.
White Chicks. Well, Josh, you are our featured guest of the day. Our final topic we want to ask you first, are the Saints for real with Jameis Winston as quarterback? Was that Green Bay game an anomaly, or are the Saints really a contender with Jameis under center?
I think with no bias, all bias to the left, I feel like we are a contender. Not necessarily Super Bowl caliber, but definitely playoff caliber team. Behind that defense that played lights out last week, I think they showed a lot of composure. And especially with Jameis, I think Jameis had a solid game. Not too eye-popping stats, 148 yards, 5 touchdowns, but he did what he had to do. He managed the game. He wasn't trying to be spectacular. He did what he had to do, limit turnovers. And I think that's what we expect for him, especially with that defense, knowing that you have that in your back pocket. You can be able to do many things this season. And obviously the turnovers will come in the future. He's been known for that. But with the coach like Sean Payton and being under Drew Brees' wing for a year, I think he's able to take that knowledge with him into the season. And I think he will be a much better player with us than he was in Tampa Bay.
All right. Tyrone?
I think his last year in Tampa Bay under Bruce Arians, he really made great strides in becoming a better quarterback. And but his turnover ratio, like Josh said, was really high. But you saw that he was working. And then when, of course, Tom Brady comes in, you're like, oh, shoot, we got to take Tom Brady. But I think that he was on a crust of getting better. And then all of a sudden he gets to the Saints. When Drew Brees got hurt, I thought he would have his opportunity. And I know Don alluded to why he didn't have his opportunity. He might talk about that in a second. And they started Taysom Hill. I was kind of miffed about that. But now it seems like, hey, this is the perfect timing because you don't want to develop bad habits before your time or you get your shot, especially when you already are polarized as an individual or typecast as an individual already. They already said, he's a turnover machine. So I think and maybe Don will talk about this. Don said that it wasn't, Sean Payton was holding on to him for a good reason. And so Don, if you want to elaborate on that,
I agree with Josh again about the defense playing lights out against Aaron Rodgers. That was a huge accomplishment to hold Aaron Rodgers and their offense with 3 points in opening week one. I mean, we've never seen the Saints do that week one. It's usually us sitting at the edge of our seats and saying, oh, man, come on, we got to pull this out. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And then to your point, Tyrone, about Coach Payton, I find he plays better knowing the strengths of individual players and tailoring his offense to them as opposed to just opening up the playbook. We saw it with Bridgewater. When he basically coached toward Bridgewater's strengths, the man was almost flawless for us, won us 6 games and nothing. And then he realized it was a high demand for him at the end of the season as he's trying to cater to Brees and bring Brees back. So he didn't make that same mistake with Jameis Winston, showcasing his talents too much because he knew if everybody saw what he could do, so many teams are looking for veteran quarterback talent. So here we are, we in a prize position. Now the key is not going there and just opening up the throttle. Continue to coach like you've been coaching and do what's necessary. I mean, that's a record to have 148 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. You've created a record right there with Jameis behind center. And we got to keep Jameis healthy, protect the man. Just like they protect Brady, you got to protect Jameis if you want to get deep into the playoffs. Protect the man, take care of your assets.
So, I mean, I agree with everybody. The O-line is key. I think the O-line is also the reason why he had so many interceptions in Tampa as well. He was running for his life. I mean, okay, they talk about the 30 interceptions, but they don't talk about the 33 touchdowns. Not a lot of quarterbacks in this league are capable of throwing 33 touchdowns in a season. Drew Brees did it 7 times in a however many year career he's had, like a 16-year career that Drew Brees has had. He did it 7 times in 16. not a lot of other guys besides him, Brett Favre, only Brady. He had a couple of those years when they had Randy Moss. Also, he had one of those seasons, crazy seasons as well. Aaron Rodgers is capable, but that elite arm talent, you don't have a lot of that in the league. Matthew Stafford did it a couple times in Detroit as well, but a lot of that was the porous O-line of Tampa Bay. If you look at the game that we played against Green Bay, the Saints played against Green Bay, one of those times he had probably 6 or 7 seconds back there where he went through all of his progressions. Nobody was open, and he threw the ball away, and still nobody was touching it. It wasn't like he threw it away under duress. So the key is, specifically what Don said, is keeping the playbook in check. I think we had the third touchdown, and they put Taysom Hill in right close to the goal line, opening that playbook up again for some odd reason. I don't know why we opened the reason. And he got stuffed 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage in the red zone. Okay.
Not necessary.
Definitely
Keep
not.
it simple, stupid. KISS. You got an O-line, let them work. You got a D-line, pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. Don't make this more complicated than it has to be. And what Winston has that Drew Brees didn't have in the last 10 years of his career is the deep throw to keep you honest. When you pin your ears and come after him and you allow that man, that one-on-one coverage, not only does he have the arm strength to get it down there, he will pull a trigger and expose you if you try to choke up on him. So my response is, I think in the current landscape where the only clear-cut champion is Tampa Bay, and they're not perfect. They almost got beat by Dallas. They had a series of mistakes and almost got beat by Dallas. I think we're a surefire contender with Jameis under the conditions that y'all keep him upright.
I think also responsibility has a lot to do with it. When Drew Brees was there, it's like the defense said, well, we could just hold them to a field goal or hold them to this or whatever. Or if they score, that's fine. Drew Brees will get us back in. But like Don said, Teddy Bridgewater, the defense had to play at a different level. And with Jameis, they had to play at a different level. I don't want us to get too carried away because we did catch Aaron Rodgers, who didn't really have a training camp, doesn't have any chemistry with his players on the team. So I think we can make a case study after about 2 more games to see what the Saints are really going to do. Because Aaron Rodgers didn't have any chemistry with his receivers. They didn't know how to come to him, lag back. He was under duress a lot, but we've seen him make throws before that he can get out of. And I don't think that's indicative of what his season going to be.
That's not our fault that their timing is not together. I mean, like, that's on them. We made the Saints timing was on. I'll tell you that much. Like, our timing was on. Like, okay, Green Bay may not have played their best game, but the Saints were clicking. Think about this. Oh, Aaron Rodgers didn't have a preseason game. Well, the Saints was running from a hurricane and missed their last preseason game and played in Jacksonville, and 8 guys got COVID in Florida while waiting. So it wasn't like we was comfortable either. You know what I mean?
But did Jameis have crab legs in Florida?
We done broke him off that, Brett. Crawfish now. He gave him crawfish. He in New Orleans.
Josh, you were going to say something, Josh?
Yeah, I think alluding to your point, Uncle T, we have a really small sample size of what Jameis can do. And I think he's really about to be tested in these next few weeks. As Cousin Dave just said, we have coaches out with COVID. They're going to be out this week. We have numerous players out for several weeks on offense and on defense. So I think these next few weeks are really about to tell us what Jameis is all about. Can he handle the pressure? Can he stoke the flames? Can he manage the game properly, even though under these external circumstances that he's been dealt with out the jump? And another thing that I've seen with Jameis is that I'm looking forward to is his maturity and how it's progressed over the years. Even from last year, if you recall the last game against Carolina, he was put in garbage time. We were blowing them out. And he had a careless penalty, a sportsmanlike penalty on the field. And I know the game didn't matter at that point, but it was kind of an unnecessary play. And I saw this clip from this past week, how he's progressed as a leader. He's on the sideline after the deep bomb to Deontay Harris. He's on the sideline kind of joking with him, but at the same time, he was encouraging him to do it more as a leader and as a quarterback. And that's what I like to see. It gives me very Drew Brees vibes with that leadership progression.
All right.
Yeah.
Don, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, y'all are all on point. I'm looking at just some stats for y'all. Just rushing yards, 83 for Kamara, 50 for Tony Jones, and Jameis Winston had 37 rushing yards. And, that tells me something, that when you have somebody that's able to, run the ball, you keep the defenses honest as well. So it's not just Taysom Hill that's just running the ball. Jameis Winston's ability to run in tight situations when nobody is open is a plus as well. We don't want him to get hurt, but we want to make sure that, we keep defenses honest. So, like Josh said, the test is coming. Our division rivals have been studying us for years, and they know our tendencies. So now with Davenport out on IR, somebody else was out, Quan Alexander, he's out.
Ooh.
with an issue. He's on IR. So, that's one of our dogs on defense. And I'd hate to see him be out for any length of time past 1 week. We need those guys. I really believe we're going to see what our defense is made of too, because you got a young Sam Darnold who's starting for Carolina, and they're getting a little hype. We're going to see what our defense is about too, if we're going to play and keep everybody in front like we're supposed to. So, I'm hoping we're the real deal. I don't really like the Jameis Winston versus Brees comparisons, because this man is a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. And I'm sorry, he started for Tampa Bay, so he deserves his own, commentary versus his own play, not versus a quarterback in Drew Brees. I think we need to compare him to him. And like Josh said, I love his maturity, how he's talking about team and not himself, and how he's pushing everybody to be better. If he continues that and our defense plays lights out, we're going to be playoff bound, and who knows where we can go after that.
Don, that's a good point about comparing him to himself, not to a Hall of Fame quarterback who's one of one. He's got to be compared to his own metric, not to somebody else's metric. And it's just like you said, collective work. I think Tyrone says collective work and responsibility. Like Lamont said, get some Ujima in this house. That's collective work and responsibility. Let's go around the horn. Contender, pretender, or don't know yet. Tyrone?
Is this for the Saints?
Yes, sir.
I don't know yet.
Don?
I want to say a contender with question marks, and that is that you have to see what it's like when they're in the trenches and they face some adversity. That's when you know if they're a contender, because that 2009 team, everybody was thinking, could this be our year? But you didn't know it until you saw some of those comeback victories, like against Washington, like against Miami,
yes,
that it was for real. I mean, where we were down and we scored 2 touchdowns in the last 4-5 minutes of the game to win the whole thing. When we had players ripping the ball out of other players' hands to get touchdowns, that's what you want to see. Who wants it more? And so we haven't seen that test yet. Like Ty said, they were ready to play against Green Bay, no doubt about it. We were ready. So now let's see when adversity hits, because it's coming. What is this team made of?
Josh?
I'm going to take the high horse. I'm going to say contenders. I think that, like I said earlier, we're going to have a rough few weeks in terms of adversity with the injuries, with COVID. But I believe that once we develop the chemistry over these next few weeks, and remember, we don't have Michael Thomas yet, which will be interesting to see because they weren't getting any reps during the off season. It'll be their first real time playing with each other. And when week 8, I think that's when he returns, we'll be able to see how they develop, and we'll get a real small sample size as to how they will be connecting over the season. And if we get a really good game out of them, I could see that progressing over the next few weeks and into the playoffs. So I think that once the team is fully or mostly healthy, we'll be in for the long run.
Okay. And I have contender. I'm like Dennis Green. We are who we thought they were.
They were.
So you are what you are in this league. Winners win, losers lose. Now, Josh, we want to thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. Sorry for the last minute joining. My dad had called. He was like, this would be a really good opportunity for you to be able to help your communication skills. I hope I did all right. But yeah, thank you for having me. I plan on doing
regular little Malcolm X right there, bro.
I get that a lot ever since I grew the beard out and the glasses.
Malcolm in the middle.
Yeah, I put Josh on Fox or NBC or Channel 4. Channel 4 needs a good up and coming sportscaster to help him spruce up the. I'd sign Josh up.
Yeah,
that sounds very knowledgeable.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Josh, we always ask the people who know us, who come on and know all three of us, we always ask the same question, okay, for people who know us, okay? Now, the question is, there's a 2-on-2 basketball game with just the people that's on the Zoom call right now.
Uh-huh.
Who are you picking on your team to play with?
So just one other person.
Oh, that's on this call right now. Me, Don, or Tyrone. Who are you picking to play against the other two guys?
You got first pick.
And you have first pick.
Well, my uncle was the basketball coach of Franklin's basketball team at one point. You're very into basketball. You're a basketball connoisseur. That's your favorite love, isn't it, Cousin Dave? That's
yes,
your
sir.
first love, basketball, or was it boxing?
It's basketball 1, boxing 2.
So if I had to pick, I would choose Cousin Dave.
Thank you, bro. I'm about to say, man, I'm married to your cousin, bro. I mean, you better pick.
Don't put pressure on the man. He had to evaluate his statistics.
Yeah.
And no offense.
I just want to know when we gonna play the game, though.
No offense to Uncle T, but I just haven't seen you play yet, and I don't have a proper analysis on.
That's the best part about this game, right? That you haven't seen.
You don't know what you can do out there, all.
Right. That's the best part about it. Trixies.
Well, I mean, I'll be ready to play that matchup anytime y'all want to. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, veterans. That's a
You
good
gotta
little
watch
matchup.
Josh. You gotta watch him, Ty. He can make them outside threes now. You gotta watch him.
Oh, I'm sure the threes are fully operational.
We'll play that as soon as possible. But guys, thank y'all so much for logging in. I know y'all have things to do. Everybody, thanks for joining us. We have another special guest next week. Sorry for the delay. My account, not ours, my account had been hacked. It took several months to get it back online, but we're back. We're getting back to our weekly groove again. I want to remind everybody to shoot the J. Thanks y'all for joining us. If y'all want to join, just email us or hit us up on the comment section if you want to be the next guest. Josh, we're looking forward to have you again. Just say the word and you can get on anytime you want to.
Definitely. Thank you so much. This was awesome. This was fun. This was very fun.
Thank you, Josh, for coming.
Good stuff, Josh.
All right, fellas.